गुड इवनिंग टू ऑल ऑफ यू। कैसे हैं सब लोग? आई होप ऑल आर वेल। टुडे टॉपिक इज इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट, वेरी हाई वेटेज from the exam point of view as well as it is very practical. So for explaining the today topic, I have to visit the GST portal also, and I have to explain something regarding GSTR1, GSTR2B and likewise. So let me explain first what we are going to discuss today, and then I will explain some written system on the live GST portal. Very good evening to all of you. So we are going to discuss that first, what is the meaning of input tax credit? Section 2 clause 63 says that credit of input tax. What is the meaning of input tax? It means in relation to the registered person. So wait for a minute. It appears that if I am unregistered person, can I take the ITC? Just give in the chat. Please answer my question. If I am unregistered person, can I take the input tax credit or not? Can I take the ITC if I am unregistered person? Just asking. Answer is no, because section 2 clause 62 define the term input tax in relation to the registered person. So what could be the exception? We will discuss at a later stage on third or fourth day. But today we are developing one point, or we are making understanding that if you are unregistered person, prima facie you cannot take the ITC because you are not registered. Fine, no problem. Then it means the CGST, SGST, IGST or UTGST. They are saying any taxes. And after that, I have highlighted the word tax charged on any supply. It means suppose A is making the supply to B, then he charging the GST on that supply. Can you please confirm this transaction, will it be forward charge or will it be reverse charge? I'm repeating once again that A is making the supply to B. A is charging the GST on this supply. Then please confirm whether this transaction is forward charge or reverse charge. Please confirm in the chat. Is it forward charge or is it reverse charge? Fine. Thank you so much. As it is clear that he is charging the GST on the supply, it means he is forward charge. This transaction is forward charge, not the reverse charge. Perfect. So now we are saying it means this is tax charge, means this is forward charge. Correct? And then further it says, and includes the following 5 things are included. Integrated tax paid on import of the goods, means IGST paid on import of the goods. If I am importing the goods at the time of custom clearance, I am paying IGST, custom duty and cess. Sorry to ask you one question related to the last chapter. Can you please confirm the IGST which is being charged on the import of goods, will it include custom duty and cess or will it be excluding custom duty and cess? It means IGST will be charged on value including custom duty and cess or excluding custom duty or cess? Very good evening to all of you. Participate कीजिए सब लोग. Will enjoy the discussion. बहुत प्रैक्टिकल है और आज तो मैंने पोर्टल भी ओपन किया है आप लोगों के लिए. I have opened the portal as well. So I have to explain this portal का mechanism, GST portal. What is the answer? That will it include the custom duty and cess or will it not include custom duty and cess? Answer is it will include custom duty and cess, and the reason we had already discussed yesterday morning because of the 15 subsection 2 clause A. Okay. Miss Arya, probably you were not there to yesterday class, so you can visit the value of the supply and you will be able to understand why it is being added. Okay. So the answer is it will be including custom duty and cess, and the reason is the 15 subsection 2 says that it will include 5 things, which is first is tax, duty, surcharge, etc. Now coming back, that it says that taxes payable under 9394, that is the RCM section of CGST, 5354 RCM section of IGST, 9394 RCM section of SGST, 7374 RCM section of UTGST. Meaning thereby, from the clause B to the clause E, it says RCM GST paid by the recipient under reverse charge, whether it is SGST, UTGST, CGST or IGST. It will be the input tax and ITC would be available. So one thing is clear, that the GST paid under forward charge or under reverse charge, ITC would be available to the recipient. Last thing it says, but does not include the taxes paid under composition levy. It means if some taxes is being paid, so if recipient is registered under composition and he is purchasing the goods under forward charge, then will he be able to take the ITC? The answer is no. One thing is clear, composition taxpayer neither take the ITC nor collect the tax from the customer. The tax would be the cost to him. Now let's move. Now we were talking about eligibility and condition of taking the ITC. 16 subsection 1 says every registered person shall, subject to such condition and restriction, which we will discuss in the rule 36. There are some certain restriction and condition which we will discuss in the rule 36. As may be prescribed and in the manner specified in section 49. Section 49 talks about the payment of taxes, how the taxes would be paid. Correct. Be entitled to take the ITC on supply of the goods or services or both to him, which are used or intended to be used in the course or furtherance of his business, and said amount shall be credited to the electronic credit ledger of that person. Let's read once again. It simply says that every registered person, first point, that who can take the ITC? Registered person. we have to refer certain condition and restriction which is being prescribed. Prescribed means the prescribed by way of rules, which are used or intended to be used in the course of furtherance of business. 16 subsection and talk about that the particular goods or services must be used for the purpose of business. Otherwise, you won't be able to take the input tax credit. And the said amount shall be credited to the electronic credit ledger of that person. How it will be credited to the electronic credit ledger? Let's say A is a supplier and B is a customer. B has purchased certain goods worth of rupees 1 lakh and that there is a GST of, let's say, 5,000. Can you please tell me how this 5,000 would be credited, shall be credited in the credit ledger? Can anyone tell me that how this 5,000 shall be credited in the electronic credit ledger? I am talking about the particular question from a practical aspect. How this will be credited, how this will be credited in the electronic credit ledger of the recipient. Very simple question. Now, the form would be GSTR 3B. Sir, how the amount is being credited in the electronic credit ledger? The amount is credited in the electronic credit ledger by GSTR 3B of the recipient. By GSTR 3B of the recipient. And as a reason, I'm talking about certain condition of 16 subsection 2, but I like to highlight the last condition. He has furnished the return under section 39, that is GSTR 3B. He means recipient. We'll reach to this point, but as of now, I like to clarify that there is one of the conditions that recipient should furnish the GSTR 3B. And why they are saying so? Because without filing, the amount will not be credited to the credit ledger. Amount will not be credited to the credit ledger. Yahan tak clear hai? Is it clear to all of you? Please confirm. Is it clear to all of you? Please confirm. Now I should move to the GST return portal. मैं आपको कुछ बेसिक बातें बताता हूं and which is going to be used in the ITC chapter multiple times. So you should be thorough about certain concept, not all concept, certain concept. What is the point which I like to highlight? That there is a GSTR1, there is a GSTR 3B, there is GSTR 2A, and there is GSTR 2B. These 4 category of the forms we are going to be discussed again and again in the entire ITC chapter. So let's have the clarity on this particular form. Not detailed, because we are going to discuss in detail in the GST return topic, but as of now, we are touching these returns only to the extent of ITC. Okay. So, example, A is a supplier and B is a customer. What is GSTR1? The GSTR1 is the details of outward supply. What is GSTR1? The GSTR1 is the details of outward supply. What is GSTR3B? Summary return for outward and ITC, and by which the taxes is being paid by the recipient. Let me repeat again. Let's say I'm talking about A, who is a registered person. He will file the GSTR1 if it is a monthly by 11th. If it is a quarterly, then for first month and second month, he will furnish IFF, which we will going to be discuss. So it means for reporting the outward supply for monthly taxpayer, GSTR1 would be monthly. GSTR1 would be monthly. And what is the due date? 11th of every month. Say, for example, I am talking about the January. It has to be filed to be 11th of Feb. By 11th of Feb. So once the transaction is added in the GSTR1, what we are taking the base that A is a supplier, B is a customer. Now both parties are registered in the GST. So once the outward supplies by A will be reported in the GSTR1 by A by due date, then it will appear in the GSTR to A as well as to B of Mr. B. GSTR to A and GSTR to B would appear in the Mr. B recipient, and that will be only for the viewing purpose. Only for the viewing purpose, not for any other purpose. What is the use of this appearance? When I will discuss the condition of 16 subsection 2 clause AA, you should write this particular provision. 16 subsection 2 clause AA, read with rule 36 sub rule 4. What I'm saying, when I will explain to all of you section 16 subsection 2 clause AA, read with rule 36(4), then you all will be able to understand that the transaction should appear in the GSTR to B is a condition for taking the ITC by Mr. B. Got my point? Let me repeat again. There is one condition for ITC. Who is taking the ITC in this transaction? A is a supplier, B is a customer, so B will take the ITC. There are total 6 conditions, out of which one condition is that the transaction should appear in the GSTR to B of recipient, that is Mr. B. Which provision says? 16 subsection 2 clause AA, read with rule 36(4). You should remember always this provision. Very practical and conceptual it is also required. How the GSTR to be generated? Can you please confirm? Please try to give me the answer of the question. How the GSTR to be generated? Based on the GSTR1 of supplier or based on the GSTR1 of recipient? Please confirm in the chat that how the GSTR to be would be generated. Will it be based on the GSTR1 of supplier or based on the GSTR1 of the recipient? एक बार कंफर्म करना. Very important question. Requesting everyone to give the reply. Will it be based on the GSTR1 of the supplier or will it be based on the GSTR1 of the recipient? Fine. What is the answer? It will be based on the GSTR1 of the supplier. How, sir? See, Mr. B is looking to his GSTR to be. The GSTR to be is nothing but the GSTR to be is nothing but the purchase register. GSTR to be क्या है? सिर्फ purchase का register है. From whom he has purchased? Obviously Mr. A. B ने किससे परचेज किया? A से परचेज किया ना. तो जब A अपनी सेल दिखाएगा तो B की परचेज में आएगा ना. GSTR1 is only for the outward supply. Point to be noted, GSTR1 is only for the outward supply. Now for B, it is a outward or inward? For Mr. B, the purchase is inward supply. So therefore, it will never possible to come through his GSTR1. तो ये कहां से आएगा? सप्लायर जब अपना आउटवर्ड सप्लाई दिखाएगा, सप्लायर वो अपना इनवॉइस रिपोर्ट करेगा. कौन सा इनवॉइस? जो ए ने बी को सेल किया है. कहां पर रिपोर्ट करेगा? GSTR1 में. देन इट विल अपीयर इन द GSTR2B ऑफ द रिसिपिएंट, विच इज वन ऑफ द कंडीशन फॉर टेकिंग द इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट. इज इट क्लियर? एक बार कंफर्म करना, ये वाला पार्ट क्लियर हुआ? Go to the services, then returns and return dashboard. एक मिनट दीजिए. So go to the services, returns and then dashboard. Why it is not appearing? Services, returns, and then return dashboard. So today's tomorrow. Correct. GSTR1 of the supplier, when he report the supplies to the different customer, then in the respective customer, it will appear as purchase in the GSTR2B. And is it required? Answer is yes. This is one of the condition that the transaction is appearing in the GSTR2B, then only you can take the ITC. Okay. Let me talk about, let's say, GSTR2A, 2B. So auto drafted ITC statement, GSTR2B. Okay. Because it, so 1 second. Let me see of the last month. Okay. GSTR2B. So you can see that GSTR2B will be auto drafted ITC statement. You cannot make any changes. You just can view. This is only for the view purpose, that how much ITC is available and how much ITC is not available. How much ITC is available and how much ITC is not available. Now let's move to the GSTR1. What is the GSTR1? Basically, the GSTR1 is the details of outward supply. So GSTR1 is divided in multiple tables: B2B, B2C, export, SEZ, debit note, credit note, HSN summary, document issued, multiple. But lastly, when you submit, then, and when you submit by the due date, then it appear in the GSTR2B of the recipient. Last, what is the GSTR3B? What is the GSTR3B? Now, the GSTR3B is a monthly return and summarized return. You are reporting total tax liability. You are reporting total eligible ITC, ineligible ITC, and then the net amount you are making the payment through cash. जितना भी टैक्स का लाइबिलिटी है, the balance amount after adjusting you will pay in cash. So this is all about the GSTR1, GSTR2B and GSTR3B. यहां पर आपका कोई क्वेश्चन है तो मुझे बताएं और कंफर्म करें इज इट क्लियर, या फिर मुझे कंफर्म करें कि दैट सेम इज क्रिस्टल क्लियर. व्हाट इज द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ 1, व्हाट इज द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ 3B, व्हाट इज द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ 2B. नाउ what if the supplier has opted QRMP, quarterly return monthly payment? So there is one scheme in which government is saying if your aggregate turnover up to 5 crore, then instead of filing the R1 and 3B, you can on monthly basis, filing the R1 and 3B on monthly basis, you have to file only after the end of the quarter. So try to understand. If supplier who has opted file under supplier who has opted QRMP and filing the GSTR1 on quarterly, so what will happen for month 1 and month 2? Because if the transaction is not appearing in 2B, customer cannot take the ITC. Able to understand? Na? Let me repeat again. Suppose in this case, A is a QRMP taxpayer, but B is a monthly taxpayer. Now, A is filing the GSTR1 on quarterly. Then if the transaction is reported after the end of the quarter, then B would be in the trouble. Why B would be in the trouble? Can anybody help me? मेरा यहाँ पे ऐसा क्यों कहना है कि B को ट्रबल होगा? जब A को GSTR1 क्वार्टरली का ऑप्शन दे दिया, तो अगर इसने मंथ 1 में लेट से परचेस किए, जुलाई में कोई परचेस किया, अगस्त में कोई परचेस किया है, एंड विच ही विल रिपोर्ट आफ्टर द एंड ऑफ द क्वार्टर, सितंबर के बाद में, तो B वुड बी इन ट्रबल. व्हाई आई एम सेइंग सो? एक बार कंफर्म करें, मैं ऐसा सेंटेंस क्यों बोल रहा हूं कि B को ट्रबल होगा? Mrs. Sayed, I will explain. Certain point I have not yet explained. The part which I have explained, is it clear or not? You can ask the question on that. But if something is yet to be touched, so you have to wait just or allow me only 5 to 10 minutes. I will cover these also. Mr. Jivan Kishore, yes, I will explain once again. कैसा आप डाउट तो ले ही नहीं रहे? कैसा ऐसा क्यों? कैसा कौन सा डाउट नहीं लिया मैंने? कैसा अभी जितना मैं कंप्लीट कर रहा हूं, पहले वो पूरा कॉन्सेप्ट क्लियर करने दो एक बार. 10 मिनट लगेगा, 10-15 मिनट, उसके बाद मैं आपके डाउट ले लूंगा. बिकॉज आपका डाउट क्या है? आपका डाउट काफी एडवांस लेवल का है. तो अभी अगर मैं बीच में डाउट लूंगा ना, तो बाकी सभी को कंफ्यूजन होगा. ठीक है, तो मुझे एक बार 10 मिनट दीजिए, मैं एक बार ये सारा पार्ट कवर कर लेता हूं, एंड देन आई विल टेक द डाउट विच इज एडवांस लेवल. अभी अगर एग्जिस्टिंग लेवल पर डाउट है तो मैं डेफिनेटली कवर कर लूंगा. Bhumika is saying GSTR 2B of the Mr. B is based on the GSTR1 of A, which is supplier. Absolutely correct. Because B cannot credit in the same month, he might have to wait till A file his return. Absolutely correct. Because GSTR2 not so ITC, because B has to file in that particular month. हाँ, अब देखो, अब आपने प्रॉब्लम तो सही पकड़ ली. अब प्रॉब्लम में क्या है? अब अगर ऐसा होगा, इफ दिस इज द केस, देन Y1 विल टेक द और Y1 विल डू द ट्रांजेक्शन विद द QRMP टैक्स पे. कोई भी नहीं करेगा, क्योंकि अगर B मंथली है तो वो कोशिश यही करेगा ना कि सभी मंथली लोगों के साथ वो ट्रांजेक्शन करे ताकि ITC तो मंथली मिले. इस प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व कैसे किया? IFF एक क्वार्टर है, ठीक है, उसमें लेट्स से कि जुलाई टू अगस्त क्वार्टर की बात कर रहा हूं, तो पहला महीना जुलाई, दूसरा महीना अगस्त एंड तीसरा महीना सितंबर। तो इसको मैं यूज करूंगा वर्ड M1, इस वर्ड को मैं इस मंथ को यूज करूंगा M2, और ये पूरा क्वार्टर का हो गया। तो मिस्टर ए who has opted QRMP will file the GSTR1 after the September only to resolve the problem of ITC for the B2B recipient। भाई ITC कौन लेगा? जो B2B है वही लेगा ना, जो पार्टी रजिस्टर्ड है वही लेगी ना, जो कस्टमर मेरा रजिस्टर्ड है वही लेगा ना। सो फॉर रिजॉल्विंग दैट इश्यू, गवर्नमेंट हैज एडेड वन फंक्शनलिटी of IFF. The full form is Invoice Furnishing Facility. So A will file for month 1 and month 2. All the B2B transaction through IFF by which it will appear in the GSTR2B of customer, and as a result, customer can take the ITC in the same month. The last date of IFF is 13th after the end of the month. Can recipient file manual purchase? No. Manually तो है नहीं, system ही close कर दिया. He cannot put manual. Means now, because of the changes in the condition of input tax credit, he cannot take the ITC if it is not appearing in GSTR2B. Clear? अब एक क्वेश्चन आता है 2A और 2B में क्या डिफरेंस है? GSTR 2A और GSTR 2B में क्या डिफरेंस है? क्वेश्चन आज समझना जरूरी है कि 2A और 2B में क्या डिफरेंस है। What is the difference between GSTR 2A and GSTR 2B? First point, for taking the ITC, you have to refer only GSTR 2B. For taking the input tax credit, the GSTR 2A will be ignored. What is the difference between 2A and 3B? जब मैं बात कर रहा हूं सप्लायर A, कस्टमर B, A is making the supply to B, B will take the ITC. As per the current condition, A has to furnish the GSTR1 by the due date. Let's say it is 11th, or if it is QRMP, then 13th. Either 11 or 13, then only the transaction will appear in the GSTR2B as well as GSTR2A, both. मैं रिपीट कर रहा हूं, अगर GSTR1 सप्लायर ने बाय द ड्यू डेट फर्निश कर दिया, तब ये 2B में भी रिपोर्ट होगा, 2A में रिपोर्ट होगा, दोनों जगह सेम तरीके से रिपोर्ट होगा। Let's say supplier has filed the GSTR1 on 14th. It will appear in the GSTR2A, but it will not go to the GSTR2B of same month. It will goes to the next month 2B, and this is only difference. We are saying that GSTR2A is a dynamic document and GSTR2B is a static document. क्या मतलब हुआ इसका? GSTR2A एक डायनेमिक डॉक्यूमेंट है जो किसी भी दिन GSTR1 अगर सप्लायर फाइल करेगा ना, तो ये रिसिपिएंट के 2B में अपडेट, 2A में अपडेट हो जाएगा। बट इफ द सप्लायर फाइल द GSTR1 बाय द ड्यू डेट, it will appear in the GSTR2B also of the same month. But if the supplier file the GSTR2B, let's say after the due date, it will shift the ITC to the next month. it means it will not appear in the GSTR2B of the same month. It will appear in the GSTR2B of next month. एक बार चार्ट के माध्यम से हम समझ लेते हैं. Let me open that Excel sheet and then also let me discuss. Let's say I'm talking about monthly taxpayer. Mr. A is filing the GSTR1 for let's say month of July. What is the due date of the July? The 11th August, right? The due date would be 11th August. Perfect. If the A file the GSTR1 on, let's say 11th of August only, then in the GSTR2A, it will appear in the July GSTR2A. What about the GSTR2B? It will appear in the July GSTR2B. Let's say, suppose he has furnished the return on 15th August 23. Or because he is a monthly, let's say he has furnished the return on 12th of August 23 because it is a monthly. What is the due date? The due date is 11th of next month. Due date is 11th of next month. What is the due date? Due date is 11th of August next month. Now, he has furnished on 12th of August. Then will it appear in the GSTR2A of same month? Yes, it will appear in the GSTR2A for the month in which it is reported. But in the GSTR2B will appear? No, it will not appear in July. It will appear in the August 23, and that is the only difference. Is it clear? Everyone are requested to confirm that. Is it clear? Vaishali and Mrs. Farah Sayed and all the participants. What is the difference between 2 and 2B? Is it clear? So if I will say the difference, I can say it is a dynamic document and it is a static. It is only showing inward supply, no impact on ITC, and ITC to be taken based on GSTR2B. Now, in other words, I can say this, it is the document. So we are using the word dynamic and static. Yes, sir. Fine. Then what about the late fees? If he file on the 14th, he can file on the next month right now without any fine or late fees. Next month. See, on every return, there is a late fees. Whether I am filing the GSTR1 or GSTR3B, the late fees is applicable. Currently, the GSTN portal is taking the late fees only on 3B. They are not collecting the late fees on the 1. So forget about the practical part for the time being. If I talk about the law, section 47 says that you have to pay the late fees is leviable on the 1 and 3B after due date. If you are furnishing after due date, yes, you have to pay. ठीक है. GSTR2 एक इंफॉर्मेशन के लिए, GSTR2B ITC के लिए कैसा? बिल्कुल बिल्कुल ठीक है. ठीक है ना? अभी all are clear almost. ठीक है. Difference between 2 है वो मंथली रिटर्न ना भर ले IFC depend upon the both facility. The main problem for QRMP was ITC to the customer. That has been resolved through IFF. Now it is a choice of the supplier that whether he like to go for monthly or he like to go for quarterly and then filing IFF. It is completely his choice. ठीक है. अब आता हूं मैं नेक्स्ट पॉइंट पर ITC के लिए. Now, Kesav, the question which you have asked now I will give the answer. The question which you ask, that I can give the answer only after this, and this is the reason that why I have not given the answer at the same time. So what is the point which I like to clarify to all of you? Now, section 16, subsection 2. In this, we will talk about the 6 condition. In this, we will talk about the 6 conditions. What are the 6 conditions? We'll discuss one by one, but first condition is that he should be. Who is he? He means recipient. Who is taking the ITC? Supplier is taking the ITC. A has sold the goods to B on the tax invoice. For that tax invoice, कौन ITC लेगा? B. मतलब recipient. So it means notwithstanding anything content. Point number 1, 16 subsection 2 is starting with the non-obstant clause. What is the meaning of non-obstant clause? The meaning of non-obstant clause means it override all other provision of the GST law. This is supreme conditions. Once you satisfied, then only you can take the ITC. It says that no registered person shall be entitled to take the ITC. So can you please tell me here the meaning of no registered person? Are they talking about supplier or are they talking about the recipient? Are they talking about the supplier or are they talking about the recipient? Please confirm. GSTR, एक सेकंड, कुछ क्वेश्चन है, मैं रिप्लाई करता हूँ, ठीक है? Answer is recipient. Answer is recipient. So here they are talking about he is not entitled to take the ITC unless he is in possession of the tax invoice. एक बार confirm करें, he means recipient or supplier. He means recipient or supplier. The answer is very clear. He means recipient. So the recipient should have the tax invoice or debit note or any other tax paying document as may be prescribed. Where it is being prescribed and which document are prescribed, we are discussing. But first condition is he should be in the possession of tax invoice or debit note. He should be in the possession of tax invoice or debit note. Now, suppose, Kesav, you have asked one question that if a file, what is the question? Wrongly filed GSTR1. That's something that was the question, right? Na? What if Mr. A falsely sold the supply in the GSTR1? Let's say एक transaction Mr. X ने एक transaction B के नाम पर दिखा दिया GSTR1 में. He has wrongly reported one transaction by using the GST number of Mr. B. So because he is reported in the GSTR1, it will appear in the GSTR2B of the recipient. Yes or no? Suppose one supplier has reported wrongly the GST number of Mr. B and his fund is the GSTR1 by the due date. Because he has reported the transaction, so it will always appear, it will appear in the GSTR2B because it is a system. Now the question is, can Mr. B take the input tax credit? The answer would be, you tell me. भाई ट्रांजेक्शन कैसे हो? आपका मैं क्वेश्चन ठीक समझ पा रहा हूं तो मुझे कंफर्म करना. अगर आपके और भी कोई परमुटेशन है तो मुझे बता देना. आपने कहा कि GSTR1 में गलत रॉन्गली सप्लाई दिखा दी कोई, मतलब वो ट्रांजेक्शन उससे पर्टेन नहीं करता था. लेट्स से कोई एक सप्लायर है, उसने GSTR1 में बी का GST नंबर यूज करते हुए कोई ट्रांजेक्शन दिखा दिया. चूंकि बी का GST नंबर यूज हुआ है, तो B के 2A 2B में तो आ जाएगा, assuming he is furnished by the due date. Now, can B would be able to take ITC? Answer would be no, and the reason is, give me the reason. Thank you so much, Ritik Prajapati. Give me the reason that why B can't take the ITC of that supply which is appearing in 2B. Karan batao. What is the reason? Why B cannot take the ITC? Why B can't take the ITC as per the legal provision, you tell me? Because he does not have the tax invoice. There are multiple points which we are going to discuss, that there another condition that he must receive the goods or services. Correct. Tax invoice nahi hai uske paas, because he is not in the position of tax invoice. बहुत बढ़िया. Everyone are clear. So now the point is, if the supply is being wrongly reported, then you are satisfying might be one condition that it should appear in 2B. But you have to satisfy all condition in totality. You have to satisfy all condition in totality, not only one condition. Okay. So, because B does not have the tax invoice, B will not receive the goods or services. Therefore, B is legally not allowed to take the ITC, even though it is appearing in the GSTR 2A and 2B. What happens if the supplier does not supply after due date? Who will bear the loss? See, the loss would be always on the purchaser, because purchaser cannot take the ITC. You might say, sir, why the purchaser has to bear the loss? Because of the default or because of the fault of the supplier? Because law is being drafted in this manner only. GST ka law is being drafted in this manner only. They have inserted one harsh condition that ITC आपको तभी मिलेगा जब आपके 2B में आएगा. अब मैं क्या करूंगा, अगर मेरे सप्लायर ने नहीं भरा टाइमली, तो मेरी क्या गलती है, आपको ITC तो नहीं मिलेगा, आपको ITC कैरी फॉरवर्ड करना पड़ेगा जब तक वो ट्रांजैक्शन आपके 2B में नहीं आता. ठीक है, चलूं आगे. सारे क्वेश्चन सॉल्व हो गए और एनी अदर पेंडिंग? कैसा क्लियर हो गया ना आपके सारे क्वेश्चन? भूमिका सर, व्हाट इफ we file the GSTR before due date? See, before due date भूमिका कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, वो तो बढ़िया बात है. अगर आप ड्यू डेट के पहले फाइल करोगे तो अच्छी बात है. ओनली प्रॉब्लम, अगर आफ्टर ड्यू डेट फाइल करोगे आप GSTR 1, तो आपके जो कस्टमर है ना, वो उस मंथ में ITC नहीं ले सकते, उन्हें ITC नेक्स्ट मंथ में लेना पड़ेगा. We are not eligible because he is. ठीक है, अब चलो आगे चलते हैं सर, एक बार आगे चलते हैं. आज बहुत मजा आने वाला, मैं सच बता रहा हूं. एक एक चीज पर आपको पोर्टल का इंप्लीकेशन समझना पड़ेगा. पोर्टल के साथ लिंक करके समझेंगे ना, तब ज्यादा क्लैरिटी मिलेगी. नाउ दे आर सेइंग दैट as may be prescribed such other tax paying document. The question comes in your mind, what is the other tax paying document? The list are given in the rule 36 sub rule 1. What is the list? It says that ITC shall be available on the following document, namely invoice. This is self-invoice applicable on RCM if supplier is unregistered. Now try to understand this. See, if the transaction is covered under reverse charge, if the transaction is covered under reverse charge, then there are two possibilities. Either supplier is registered. If supplier is registered, he will issue the tax invoice. Or if the supplier is unregistered, according to this provision, you have to prepare self-invoice. Okay. Subject to payment of taxes. It means the invoice issued in accordance with the provision of the clause F, subject to the payment of the taxes. It means you can take the ITC. You can take the ITC only when you make the payment. only when you make the payment. In case of the reverse charge, then it can be the debit note. What is the bill of entry? If we are importing the goods, then the bill of entry. Further, they are saying any similar document, because they're made at the time of assessment, at the time of custom assessment, the amount of the bill of entry can be enhanced. In that case, what happened? The GST would be paid extra on the basis of similar document. So we can take the ITC on the basis of that document as well. ISD invoice. What is the ISD invoice? What is the ISD invoice? Please confirm. Is it clear that concept of ISD? एक बार मुझे बताएं कि ISD का कॉन्सेप्ट किस किस को क्लियर है? ISD का कॉन्सेप्ट किसको किसको क्लियर है? रजिस्ट्रेशन चैप्टर, अच्छा मुझे ही लेना है, सॉरी, आई हैव टू टेक द रजिस्ट्रेशन चैप्टर. ठीक है. सो फॉर द टाइम बी, because I will explain in detail in the registration chapter as well, but give me some brief in this chapter also. What is the ISD concept? ISD concept. There is a one head office and branch 1, branch 2, etc. Correct? There is a head office and there is a branches. Now the HO is basically taking the inward service, for branches. Then head office has to distribute the GST part to the branches in the sales ratio. What is that ISD concept? Head office has taken certain services. Let's say it is in statutory auditor. See, head office has appointed statutory auditor. He is raising the invoice, let's say 1 lakh rupees, by charging the GST of 18,000. Now this 18,000 would be in the bucket of HO under ISD category. Then this 18,000 had to be distributed by the HO in the turnover ratio of the branches. So this transfer of the credit, the branches. Who will take the ITC? Branches. Document क्या होगा इस केस में? ISD invoice. What would be the document? ISD invoice. If they have taken any input service, only service. Why? Because the full form of ISD is input service distributor. Means एक ऐसा मैकेनिज्म जिसके माध्यम से हेड ऑफिस अपनी इनपुट जो कि अराइज हुई है सर्विस के कारण उसको ब्रांच को डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर सकता है. ये एक ऐसा मैकेनिज्म है एंड फॉर विच HO विल टेक द रजिस्ट्रेशन अंडर ISD कैटेगरी, नॉट अंडर नॉर्मल कैटेगरी. नॉर्मल कैटेगरी में लेना वो अलग बात है. अगर उसे GST का डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन करना है, अगर उसे ITC का डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन करना है, then HO has to take the registration in the name, in the category of ISD, by which he will distribute the ITC to the branches. And branches के लिए क्या डॉक्यूमेंट होगा? ITC लेने के लिए ISD. And that is the reason, if you refer the rule 36, क्या लिखा गया लास्ट में? ISD इनवॉइस. क्यों लिखा गया? क्योंकि अगर हेड ऑफिस ने कोई क्रेडिट ब्रांच को ट्रांसफर की है थ्रू ISD मैकेनिज्म, देन दे विल टेक द ITC थ्रू ISD इनवॉइस. इज इट क्लियर? अभी तक जो भी डाउट है प्लीज आस्क. जितने भी आप लोगों के डाउट है प्लीज आस्क. हम आराम से करेंगे इस चैप्टर को, समझ के करेंगे. वैसे हर चैप्टर में कोशिश करता हूं मैक्सिमम, बट इसका तो प्रैक्टिकल और एग्जाम में वेटेज दोनों ही बहुत ज्यादा है, तो इस चैप्टर को तो बहुत अच्छे से करना है हमको, बहुत ज्यादा अच्छे से करना है, ठीक है। एक बार कंफर्म करना, कोई पार्ट अगर पेंडिंग है आपका, कंफ्यूजन है तो मुझे बता दीजिए, so that I will take that part. Then what about 0% GST for some services? 0% GST, वो exempt होगा ना? It can be exempted, it can be zero rated. See, there are two concepts. One is exempted or nil rated, for which you are seeing 0%, or if it is an export or SEZ supply, then it is called as a zero rated. ऐसा फायदा कुछ नहीं होता, कंपल्सन होती है, फायदा कुछ नहीं है इसमें, फायदा कुछ नहीं, कंपल्सन है। मतलब आईएसडी अभी दोनों ऑप्शन अवेलेबल है, अभी तक तो कंपल्सन नहीं है, लेकिन ये कॉन्सेप्ट सर्विस टैक्स से भी नहीं आया। ये कॉन्सेप्ट क्या है, बेसिकली ब्रांच को टैक्स डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करने का कॉन्सेप्ट है, तो फायदा नहीं है, रेदर देयर इज ए वन मोर मैकेनिज्म बाय विच दे कैन ट्रांसफर कॉमन क्रेडिट। हाँ, मैं वापस एक्सप्लेन कर देता हूँ, ठीक है, मैं वापस कर देता हूँ। एक क्वेश्चन है आपका बी पॉइंट का, मोहम्मद बिलाल बी पॉइंट। सो मोहम्मद, आप इस बी पॉइंट की बात कर रहे हैं ना, राइट? जो अभी आरसीएम का डिस्कशन किया था, ये वाला बी पॉइंट का बात कर रहे हैं, राइट ना? एक बार कंफर्म करना मोहम्मद। देन मिस हीरा हुसैन इज सेइंग दैट आईएसटी का एक्सप्लेन इन ब्रीफ। ठीक है, मैं पहले रिपीट करता हूं दोनों पॉइंट। पहला मैं बात करता हूं जी रिवर्स चार्ज मैकेनिज्म का। चलो सर, रिवर्स चार्ज थोड़ा सा डिटेल में बात कर लेते हैं। लेट मी टॉक अबाउट द रिवर्स चार्ज ऑल्सो इन सम डिटेल। Reverse charge. When we discuss the reverse charge, then we will prima facie we will discuss two sections, 9 subsection 3 and 9 subsection 4. The possibility, can the supplier be registered or unregistered? In the 9.3, in the 9.4 supplier will always be unregistered. एक बात तो क्लियर है, जब मैं डिस्कस करूंगा तब मालूम चलेगा। एग्जाम्पल, एक छोटा सा एग्जाम्पल लेता हूं कि मैंने ना सर्विस ली है ट्रांसपोर्टर से, सर्विस किससे ली? जीटीए से। देन रिसिपिएंट विल पे द टैक्स अंडर आरसीएम, ठीक है। अब मैं बात कर रहा हूं सेल्फ इनवॉइस कब बनाना है। क्या होता है सेल्फ इनवॉइस, बताता हूं। अगर सप्लायर जीएसटी में रजिस्टर्ड है, पॉसिबल हो सकता है, इट कैन बी रजिस्टर्ड, और सप्लायर कैन बी unregistered. Both possibilities there. Now, please note, if the supplier is registered, self-invoice not applicable. If the supplier is unregistered, need to be prepared by the recipient. मालूम कैसे चलेगा? वो तो जब ट्रांजेक्शन करते हैं तो मालूम चल जाएगा ना। किसी पार्टिसिपेंट ने पूछा कि मालूम कैसे चलेगा। See, मालूम क्या होगा? Let's say Mr. A is an accountant of XYZ Limited, so he know all the transaction which is coming under reverse charge, like GTA, legal service, transportation, and security services, rent a cab. Multiple services are there, multiple goods are there. So if the service are covered under RCM and supplier is unregistered, then the recipient will prepare the self-invoice. Then based on the self-invoice plus payment of taxes, ITC can be availed. And this is what it is written in the Rule 36. Go back to the Rule 36. Go to the Rule 36. What is written? It says that an invoice issued in accordance with 31(3)(f, that is self-invoice, subject to payment of taxes. I hope it is clear. एक बार confirm करना clause B, no doubt, so that I can move to the clause In short, I can explain the concept of IST. ठीक है ना? एक बार मुझे कंफर्म करना. 2-3 participant has asked regarding the ऋतिक बिल ऑफ एंट्री जब मैं परचेस करता हूँ, इंपोर्ट करता हूँ गुड्स, तो डॉक्यूमेंट विच इज बीइंग फर्निश्ड एट द टाइम ऑफ कस्टम टू क्लियर द गुड्स एंड टू पे द कस्टम ड्यूटी सेस एटसेट्रा. ठीक है. सो अब बात करते हैं आईएसटी थोड़ा. व्हाट इज द आईएसटी? वैशाली एंड Mohammed Bilal, you have to confirm that the two participants has to confirm that clause B is clear or not. ठीक है. अब हम बात करते हैं आईएसटी शॉर्ट में क्या है. एक बार वापस आते हैं अपने डॉक्यूमेंट में जो हमने बनाया है. आईएसटी क्या है? आईएसटी में हेड ऑफिस क्रेडिट को देखो, आईएसटी एक मैकेनिज्म है बाय विच हेड ऑफिस कैन ट्रांसफर द क्रेडिट accrued of input service to the branches. Sir, why he will transfer? Because there could be the multiple reason. One reason, HO does not have any tax liability. हेड ऑफिस में तो कोई आउटपुट सप्लाई होती नहीं है, तो वो आईटीसी तो उसका बेकार है. वो आईटीसी का क्या करेगा सर? वो आईटीसी तो बेकार है. और दूसरा, अगर ब्रांचेस को कोई ट्रांजेक्शन होता है तो आपको ध्यान होगा शेड्यूल 1 पैरा 2, याद होगा ना? शेड्यूल 1 पैरा 2, डिस्टिंक्ट पर्सन सप्लाई इवन विदाउट कंसिडरेशन. याद है या नहीं है? शेड्यूल 1 पैरा 2, if there is a supply of the goods or services between related person or distinct person, शेड्यूल 1 कहता है even without consideration the transaction can be supplied. तो क्या हुआ? हेड ऑफिस से ब्रांच को कोई सर्विस गई है, कोई कॉमन सर्विस अलोकेट हुई है, तो एचओ पूरी क्रेडिट को रख भी नहीं सकता. HO has to transfer because he does not have the tax liability. So the transfer का मैकेनिज्म ISD है. ISD एक अलग कैटेगरी का रजिस्ट्रेशन है. जैसे हम बात करते हैं ना कि कंपोजिशन लेवी में मैं रजिस्ट्रेशन ले सकता हूं. इन द सेम पैटर्न यू हैव द मल्टीपल कैटेगरी, आउट ऑफ विच वन कैटेगरी इज द ISD. So once he has taken the registration under the ISD category, once he has taken the registration under the ISD category, then he means head office can transfer the credit through ISD GSTR 6, that is a return, and but for which he has to issue the he has to issue the ISD invoice. And this ISD invoice would be the document given in the rule 36 for branch. Branch ISD invoice के बेस पर ITC लेगा. बेटा क्लियर है ना? According to section 31 subsection 3 clause F is taxable. भूमिका देखो, रिवर्स चार्ज का ट्रांजेक्शन अगर टैक्सेबल है ना, तभी जीएसटी पे करना पड़ेगा, तभी कस्टमर आईटीसी लेगा. लेट्स से इट इज नॉट टैक्सेबल, देन द क्वेश्चन ऑफ टैक्स एंड क्वेश्चन ऑफ आईटीसी विल नॉट अराइज. सो प्राइम ऑफ ए सेट अप टू बी करेक्ट. आगे बढ़ते हैं सर. Now we have understood the first condition. क्या condition है? He should be in the possession of tax invoice. He should be in the possession of tax invoice or debit note issued by the supplier registered under this act. Now move to the next. Next is input tax credit. Sorry. This invoice, not second condition. Again, first condition, I'm talking about the content of the tax invoice. Rule 36 sub rule 2 says, if there is a tax invoice, then at least 5 particular has to be there. 5 things has to be mentioned on the tax invoice. Amount of the tax, description of the goods or services, total value, GST on the supplier and recipient, and POS in case of interstate. Then only ITC can be taken by the registered person. So rule 36 sub rule 2 says that apart from the condition that tax invoice has to be there, and also these 5 things has to be there. What are the 5 things? Let me explain once again. Amount of the tax charge, description of goods or services, total value, GSTN ऑफ द सप्लायर, प्लेस ऑफ द सप्लाई। अगर ये 5 चीजें हैं तभी आप ITC ले सकते हैं। तो इन अदर वर्ड मैं कह सकता हूं कोई भी डॉक्यूमेंट जिसके ऊपर आप ITC लेना तो ये चेक जरूर कर लें कि 5 चीजें हैं या नहीं। पहली कंडीशन क्या थी सर? पहली कंडीशन थी नॉट विद स्टैंडिंग एनीथिंग कंटेन्ड दैट टैक्स इनवॉइस शुड बी देयर। ठीक है, अब दूसरी कंडीशन की बात कर रहे हैं 16 सबसेक्शन 2 क्लॉज डबल ए। The detail of invoice or debit note referred in clause A, ठीक है, has been furnished by the supplier, has been furnished by the supplier in the statement of outward supply। मतलब क्या हुआ? GSTR 1 की GSTR 3B? एक बार बताना मुझे, आप लोग चैट में कंफर्म करना। So that they are saying has been furnished by the supplier in the statement of the outward supply. What does it mean? But which one is the statement of the outward supply? 1 or 3B? Whether it is GSTR 1 or GSTR 3B? केशव, ये तो स्लाइड हर क्लास के बाद अपलोड होती है, हर क्लास के बाद अपलोड होती है। अभी ये चैप्टर जब खत्म हो जाएगा तब मैं दे दूंगा। Answer is GSTR 1. Answer is GSTR 1. Absolutely correct. And for statement of the outward supply, GSTR 1 is being mentioned in the section 37. So if I will use the word section 39, it means they are talking about GSTR 3B. If I am using the word section 37, then it means it is GSTR 1. Okay. And they are also saying, and such details have been communicated to the recipient. Now the problem is they are not only saying that it should be reported in the GSTR 1, it should communicate it to the recipient in the manner as specified. Now, how to communicate? For that, there is a rule, another rule. This rule is being made. This rule says that no ITC shall be available by a registered person if the detail of such invoice has been furnished by the supplier in the GSTR 1 or using the IFF, and the details of ITC of such invoice or the debit note have been communicated in the form of GSTR 2B. It means they are saying that yes, it should appear in the, it should be reported in the GSTR 1, and as well as it should be communicated. The communication, how it will be communicated? In the GSTR 2B. How it will be communicated? In the GSTR 2B. Now, I hope you will have the more relevance. You have the better understanding that why we should require to have the transaction in the GSTR 2B. I have highlighted the supplier will file the GSTR 1 and it should communicate it in the GSTR 2B. And that is the reason we were saying that why GSTR 2B is an ITC statement and why the supplier has to file that outward supply by the due date so that it will appear in the 2B and the recipient can take the ITC. Now, let's further move. Third condition क्या है? The third condition we are talking about. He has received the goods or services or both. He means recipient और supplier. एक बार वापस लिखें, मैं जानता हूं आपको मालूम है, लेकिन फिर भी मैं आपको रिक्वेस्ट कर रहा हूं, प्लीज राइट इन द चैट बॉक्स हमेशा आपके माइंड में रहेगा। ही मीन्स रिसिपिएंट। गुरु सर ने बार बार पूछा था हमसे ही का मतलब क्यों? क्योंकि लास्ट वाले क्लॉज में मैंने बहुत मिस्टेक देखी है। सो आपके माइंड में फिट हो जाना चाहिए कि 16(2) में जो वर्ड ही लिखा गया क्लॉज में वो उसका मतलब क्या है। एक बार कंफर्म करना, ही मीन्स रिसिपिएंट। आपको बुरा लग रहा होगा लेकिन जरूरी है, क्योंकि ये याद होना जरूरी है। ही मीन्स रिसिपिएंट, क्योंकि आईटीसी कौन लेगा भाई? रिसिपिएंट लेगा ना। भाई रिसिपिएंट लिख दिया हमने, उसकी जगह ही लिख दिया, चलेगा। नाउ दैट he has received the goods or services. Now, before moving to the explanation, can you please tell me who knows what is the bill to ship to model? किसको मालूम है bill to ship to model क्या होता है? Any participant who are knowing or heard that concept of bill to ship to model, please confirm. Let me understand from each one of you. Do you know about the concept of bill to ship to model in the GST? GSTR 3B मीन्स क्या होगा? 3B मीन्स वैशाली अभी लास्ट कंडीशन में आएगा ना तब मालूम चलेगा। एक बार जस्ट 2-5 मिनट। GSTR 3B मीन्स क्वेश्चन का मतलब नहीं समझा मैं। मतलब 3B का मतलब एक रिटर्न हो गया जो समराइज रिटर्न है। कोमल दोनों मत ऐड करो ना। कोमल या तो एक ही पर्सन होगा, ही तो सिंगुलर पर्सन है ना। भाई ही तो सिंगुलर पर्सन है ना, दो कैसे हो सकता है? रिसिपिएंट एंड सप्लायर। एक ही होगा ना कोमल, आइदर रिसिपिएंट और सप्लायर। हाउ द वर्ड ही कैन बी बोथ? सो इट मीन्स ओनली रिसिपिएंट। किसको मालूम है व्हाट इज द बिल टू शिप टू मॉडल? How many participant knows about the concept of bill to ship to model in the GST? Why I am talking about? Because it is linked to the why I am talking about? Because it is linked to the clause which we were discussing. Yes. Chalo. Let me talk about what is the bill to ship to model. Let me talk about what is the bill to ship to model. In case of the bill to ship to model, in case of the bill to ship to model, there are three parties. Let's say A is from Delhi, B is from Maharashtra, and C is from Delhi. You have to give me the answer for certain point. Now, normally, first assume that there are two parties. Abhi aap assume karo there are two parties only. B has ordered certain things to A. A has issued the tax invoice to B and also delivered the goods to B at his location. So he will raise the tax invoice. A will raise the tax invoice to B. A will also deliver the goods to B. So I can say clause A, tax invoice होना चाहिए B के पास, satisfied. Clause double A, let's say कि B के GSTR 2B में वो transaction appear हो रहा है. Clause B, because goods or services has been received, so condition satisfied, he can take the ITC. Now the twist is, one more party came, Mr. C. C is the actual customer of B. C is the customer of B. So C has given the order of 1,000 or 100 laptops. C has given the order of 100 laptop to Mr. B. B in turn given the order of 100 laptop to A. A ने क्या किया? A ने 100 लैपटॉप C ने 100 लैपटॉप का ऑर्डर B को दिया, B ने 100 लैपटॉप का ऑर्डर A को दे दिया. मैन्युफैक्चरिंग यूनिट है. जब A ने लैपटॉप तैयार कर लिए तो आप मुझे बताएं, will A deliver to B? A is from Delhi, B is from Maharashtra, and C is from Delhi. Will A deliver to B and then B will again send the goods to C, or it will goes directly by A to C? How the goods will be moved? I'm not talking about any document. I'm not talking about any GST perspective. Just from logical mind, please tell me how these goods will be moved from A to B and B to C or directly from A to C. कैसे गुड्स का मूवमेंट होगा? So the answer is obviously A will deliver directly to C because might be it will be the delay in delivery, transportation cost will be there, possibility of the damage, loss, theft, it is possible. It is a very costly item. So in case of the build to ship to model, the one person will give the direction to the supplier that kindly deliver the goods directly to my customer. In this example, so here B will say to A that kindly deliver the goods directly to C. Okay. So please tell me, will A raise the tax invoice to C or A will raise to B? Will A raise to C? How the invoicing would be there? How many tax invoice would be there in case of the bill to ship to model? How many tax invoice would be there in case of the bill to ship to model? Yes. I have received the answer that invoicing would be, how many tax invoice would be there? एक बार confirm करना. How many tax invoice would be there in the bill to ship to model transaction? In the bill to ship to model transaction, how many tax invoice would be there? कितने टैक्स इनवॉइस रहेंगे? नहीं 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 फरहा सैयद, बेटा ये इनवॉइसिंग डायरेक्टली हो जाएगी तो कल को तो बी गायब भी हो जाएगा. सो the invoicing would always be from A to B, the first tax invoice. It is first tax invoice. Then B to C, it is a second tax invoice. See, if we will raise the invoice to C, what is the role of Mr. B? He will be out in the time to come. So he will only give the delivery address or some other mechanism, but movement would be directly from A to C. But the invoice would be A to B and B to C. There would be two tax invoice. So now the question, all are clear. So now the question, you tell me whether B has actually received the goods. In case of the bill to ship to model, क्या B को actual में माल मिलेगा कभी? Whether he will receive actually the goods or services. Whether he will actually receive the goods or services. मतलब उसको physically माल मिलेगा एक B को in the bill to ship to model. B is the person who is giving the direction to deliver at some other location. क्या B को do the online shopping apps follow? हाँ करते हैं. Miss Arya, definitely they are doing. So will the B physically receive the goods? क्या B को कभी बिल टू शिप टू मॉडल में बेचारे B को कभी माल मिलेगा? अब प्रॉब्लम क्या होगी बताओ अगर फिजिकली माल नहीं मिलेगा तो क्या प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है? लेट्स थिंक एंड देन गिव द आंसर कि व्हाट कुड बी द पॉसिबल प्रॉब्लम फॉर मिस्टर बी विद रिस्पेक्ट टू आईटीसी. नाउ थिंक एंड देन गिव मी द आंसर व्हाट कुड बी द पॉसिबल प्रॉब्लम फॉर मिस्टर बी. Now you should think and then give me the answer. What could be the possible problem for Mr. B with respect to ITC? क्या हो सकता है? क्या पॉसिबल प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है या कुछ भी नहीं है? यस क्या प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है उसको? व्हाट इज द मेन प्रॉब्लम फॉर दैट पर्सन मिस्टर बी? अगर उसको गुड्स नहीं मिलता तो कोई प्रॉब्लम है उसको फ्रॉम आईटीसी परस्पेक्टिव? आंसर दीजिए। प्रॉब्लम क्या है? क्लॉज बी जो लिखा गया है कि ही शुड रिसीव द गुड्स और सर्विसेज, तो सेटिस्फाई कैसे होगा फिर? In case of the build to ship to model, which is a going practice, which is the actual practice of the market, if it is being allowed, then whether question comes whether we would be able to take the ITC, because he would not be in the position to confirm or to satisfy the clause B. Correct ना? ये बात से आप एग्री कर रहे हैं ना कि the main problem to Mr. B that because he has not received the goods or services, क्या मेरा आईटीसी डिनाई हो जाएगा? अगर ऐसा होता है तो प्रॉब्लम है ना सर, तब तो प्रॉब्लम है, क्योंकि तो बिजनेस ट्रांजेक्शन है, फिर उसको आईटीसी नहीं मिलेगा तो कॉस्ट इंक्रीज हो जाएगी। वैसा क्यों करेगा? टू गिव द रेजोल्यूशन टू दिस प्रॉब्लम, they have added in the government has added in the explanation the word deemed. क्या वर्ड ऐड किया? they have added the word deemed. it means, अब देखिएगा, it will be deemed. देखो deemed वर्ड कब ऐड करते हैं? when they are adding that word deemed in the GST law, जब एक्चुअल में वो कुछ हो नहीं रहा, actual is not happening, then they are adding the deeming provision. always remember, कई जगह काम आएगा हमारे पास में ये। अगर एक्चुअल में वो चीज नहीं हो रही है और मुझे वो करनी है तो मैं क्या करूंगा? जीएसटी लॉ बोलता है मैं डीमिंग प्रोविजन ऐड कर दूंगा। क्लॉज बी क्लियर है कि गुड्स और सर्विसेज रिसीव हो जानी चाहिए। अब गुड्स और सर्विसेज रिसीव हो नहीं सकते बिल्ड टू शिप टू मॉडल में, तो इन्होंने क्या कह दिया कि फॉर द पर्पज ऑफ दिस क्लॉज इट शैल बी डीम्ड दैट सच रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन हैज रिसीव्ड द गुड्स और सर्विसेज। इट मींस द गुड्स आर डिलीवर्ड बाय द सप्लायर मिस्टर ए टू ए रिसिपिएंट, ultimate recipient C, on the direction of the such registered person that Mr. B, whether acting in any capacity on title, किसी भी तरीके से ट्रांसफर करे तो मान लिया जाएगा कि द रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन हैज रिसीव्ड द गुड्स। इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? एक्चुअल तो रिसीव्ड नहीं है, इसीलिए उन्होंने added this thing in the 16(2)(b). They are saying that it will be deemed that such third person, registered person, has received and therefore ITC is allowed. याद रखना, बिल्ड टू शिप टू मॉडल क्या सिर्फ गुड्स के केस में है? नहीं, इट कैन बी पॉसिबल फॉर सर्विसेज ऑल्सो। Services are provided by the supplier on the direction, so it means build to ship to model is possible for goods and it can also be possible for services. अब मुझे बताओ, क्या पूरा कॉन्सेप्ट क्लियर है? बिल्ड टू शिप टू मॉडल, आईटीसी, गुड्स और सर्विसेज रिसीव्ड, या कुछ कंफ्यूजन है? इज इट क्लियर टू ऑल ऑफ यू? क्या अभी कोई डाउट है? डाउट है तो बताओ, बात करते हैं ना, हम तो डिस्कशन ही कर रहे हैं। कंफ्यूजन है तो बताओ, विल टॉक अबाउट। सी, आप याद रखना, जब भी वर्ड डीम्ड ऐड होना, हो सकता है प्लेस, हो सकता है आप सीए फाइनल में कुछ पढ़ो, हो सकता है कुछ चीजें आप सीए इंटर में पढ़ो, जब भी वर्ड डीम्ड हो, मान लो समथिंग डिफरेंट फ्रॉम एक्चुअल। थैंक यू कैसर। All clear, everything is clear, everything is, sir. Here, how recipient will prove that he has received or has delivered to a third person the goods or services? How recipient will prove that he has received or has delivered to it? So how he will prove? So he should have the copy of the e-way bill. See, there would be one e-way bill, ठीक है, which can be generated by either A or B or C, in which the 4 address will come. In the e-way bill, there will be the 4 address will come. In the bill to ship to model, there are 4 address will come. 2 address will be from tax invoice A to B. Okay. And these two address would be actual movement of the goods. Actual movement of the goods. Actual movement means that it is going from A to C. So this document would suffice to prove that it is going directly. Second, Rule 46 says, Rule 46, I'm not talking about 36, 46, which we will discuss in the invoice accounts and loss. Rule 46 says that you have to mention the delivery address if it is different from the billing address. So A, when he is preparing the tax invoice, he has to put the CICA address. ठीक है. वैशाली बिंदल, रूल 36 में हमने सिर्फ अभी 3 क्लॉज पढ़े हैं. पहला हमने पढ़ा 36(1) कि आपके पास टैक्स इनवॉइस या डॉक्यूमेंट या अदर टैक्स पेइंग डॉक्यूमेंट होना चाहिए. तो 36(1) ने क्या कहा? आईएसटी, डेबिट नोट, सेल्फ इनवॉइसिंग, बिल ऑफ एंट्री. तो उसने कई नाम और बता दिए. 36(2) ने कहा कि जो भी आपके पास टैक्स इनवॉइस उस पर 5 चीजें लिखा होना जरूरी है. इट हैज टू बी देयर सो दैट यू कैन टेक द आईटीसी. व्हाट इज दैट? जीएसटी नंबर ऑफ द सप्लायर एंड रिसिपिएंट, करेक्ट, नेम एंड एड्रेस, HSN code of the goods tax. You can refer that, place of supply. Okay. So these things has to be there. Then last point we have discussed, Rule 36(4), which we have discussed that ITC can be taken only when it is appear in the GSTR 2B. So these 3 things we have discussed in the Rule 36. Jeevan Kishore is saying that how ITC work in the case where the manufacturer directly sell the goods service to end customer without any middleman. प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं है ना, जब 2 ही पार्टी है. सपोज मैं मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करता हूं और आपने मुझसे डायरेक्टली परचेस कर लिया, तो देयर इज नो कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ बिल टू शिप टू मॉडल, राइट? सो देयर विल बी 2 पार्टी. आई विल रेज द टैक्स इनवॉइस टू यू, यू कैन टेक द आईटीसी. सो इट इज अ सिंपल कॉन्सेप्ट. इज इट ओके? जितने क्वेश्चन करोगे उतनी क्लैरिटी मिलेगी. जितने क्वेश्चन करोगे उतनी क्लैरिटी मिलेगी. एक, आप क्वेश्चन करना मत भूलना, मत छोड़ना. एंड दूसरा, मेरे क्वेश्चन का आंसर भी जरूर करना. ठीक है? काइंडली डू द जस्टिस फॉर मी. If the buyer gives the order, but recipient to A, but receipt from C, but payment to A, is it possible? Bill to ship to model में यही तो होता है. See, what is happening? You are giving the in your example, you know what you are saying. You are talking about the C only. Only you change the name of A, no problem. Okay. In your case, you are saying that in this case, what happened? C is receiving the bill from B. He is making the payment to B, but he is receiving the goods from A. Is it possible? Yes, it is happening now. The example which you quoted is exactly same of the bill to ship to model. Not? Is it or not? करेक्ट ना? एग्जैक्टली सेम ही था जो आपने क्वेश्चन में से पूछा भी. और परमुटेशन कॉम्बिनेशन पॉसिबल. देयर इज नो प्रॉब्लम एट ऑल. इट इज ऑलवेज पॉसिबल. तो अभी एक काम करते हैं. लेट्स टेक ए ब्रेक ऑफ 10 मिनट. ठीक है? 9:32 है. 8 मिनट का ब्रेक रखते हैं. वी विल रिज्यूम एट 7:40. मनीष जी, 7:40 तक का ब्रेक स्टार्ट कर दीजिए. Continue, sir. Fine. So we were talking about, there are a couple of questions we'll take. Let me complete the balance condition. Then next condition is clause BA. They are saying the details of said supply, the details of ITC in respect of said supply communicated to the registered person under section 38 has not been restricted. See, now this is highest, toughest condition to comply. For taking the ITC, they have inserted the clause BA. For taking the ITC, they've inserted the clause BA, and which is not possible to comply. 38 subsection 2 clause BA is saying that the ITC should not be such which is restricted. And which ITC is restricted? You can read the 38 subsection 2 clause B. They were adding certain condition, but as of now, they have not prescribed any rule. They have not prescribed any rule. And as a reason, this is not practically applicable. So you can read the conditions only. Condition is, so in future they will bring that if there is a purchase from the new registered person, then they would fix the certain limit that within this period you cannot take the ITC. I'm talking about B recipient. If B is purchasing the goods from registered person, newly registered person, then he cannot take the ITC for such period which may be prescribed. So as of now, they are not prescribed. Any supplier who has defaulted in payment of tax for such period which is being continued, then ITC would not be available to recipient. If the supplier GSTR1 more than 3B is lesser, then again his recipient cannot take the ITC. Further, they are saying the default in discharging the liability. So it means as of now, this is only theoretical condition. But what is the condition? The condition is saying the 38, the details of the ITC in respect of the said supply communicated to the registered person has not been restricted. So this should not be restricted. How it is being restricted? The 38(2)B is defined the condition. So it is only theoretical. So we are not spending too much time. So now 16 subsection 2, last two condition, clause C and the clause D. It says that subject to the provision of section 41, the tax charged has been actually paid to the government either in cash or through ITC. So A has supplied the goods to me, to B. The whatever the tax he has charged, he has actually paid to the government either through cash or through ITC. And last, he has furnished the return under section 39, means recipient has furnished GSTR 3B. ठीक है, अब एक बार आपके क्वेश्चन को टैकल कर लेता हूं मैं. Let me give the reply to the question which you have. So if buyer gives the order to A but will receive from C, but possible नहीं, normally possible. Actually, normally it is not possible. Normally, otherwise उसका ITC में भी दिक्कत हो जाएगा. 180 days का clause which I will discuss right now, then it will create the problem. Okay, it will not be possible. Sir, I was asking about the movement. In normal circumstances, I was not possible. But if you have some practical, then kindly frame the proper question and ask in the next class. Movement between manufacturer to the ordinary customer. So, Jeevan Kishore, if you are saying that manufacturer is selling to the unregistered party, then obviously the customer will never take the ITC. So the tax has to be paid to the government, only part that recipient will not take the ITC. So the question of ITC will not arise. When manufacturer is making the supply, whatever he purchases, he can take the ITC. There is no problem. Okay. So the last point, kindly read that proviso says that if the goods are being received in the lot or installment, it means goods are not coming in one shot. It's coming in the lots, batches, installment. Then ITC would be available only on the last lot or installment. Very, very important condition. When you do the practical cases, you will find this point that goods has been received in next month. When you take the ITC, next month when the last lot is being received. Now read the proviso. There are the two proviso. First proviso says, read carefully. First proviso we have already read, that if the goods are being received in the lot or installment, then ITC shall not be available in between, only available only on the last lot or installment. Example same, A has supplied to B. Now Vaishali, you read once you read this condition, then you will have more clarity that why your example is not too much feasible. Possible तो हो सकता है, कुछ भी हो सकता है, ठीक है ना, but time of it will not come. You have to substantiate why your example have the practical relevance. तो आप एक बार सोच के proper frame करना. A has issued the invoice to B. Let's say it is 1st Jan 2023. He will file the GSTR1 by next 11th Feb. He will file the GSTR3B by 20th Feb. When B will see the GSTR2B, please note one thing, GSTR2B would be generated only after 13. GSTR2B ITC statement will be generated only after 13th of next month. And that will be fixed. So the transaction is appearing in GSTR2B of the Mr. B and he can take the ITC. For taking the ITC, whether payment is mandatory to A, by customer to supplier, whether payment is mandatory. Give me the answer. Whether payment is mandatory. Manisha, it was added later on. So that study material which is being given, you should refer that all the amendment. It will be there. मैं एक बार चेक कर लूंगा, ठीक है, बट मेरे हिसाब से होना चाहिए जो भी लेटेस्ट अमेंडमेंट है वो एक बार आप चेक कर लेना, मैं भी चेक कर लूंगा, इंस्टीट्यूट से भी पता कर लूंगा, बट नो प्रॉब्लम. ठीक है. नाउ द पॉइंट इज दर्शन, GSTR1, मान लो मैं ए की बात करूं, ए GSTR1 में अपनी सेल्स दिखाता है, ठीक है, और ए GSTR1 में अपनी सेल दिखाता है और 3B में क्या करता है, सेल्स और ITC दोनों दिखा के नेट टैक्स का पेमेंट करता है. 1 खाली रिपोर्टिंग है आउटवर्ड सप्लाई की, 3B क्या है, ITC एंड टोटल टैक्स लायबिलिटी और नेट टैक्स का पेमेंट गवर्नमेंट को जाता है. अच्छा बी नहीं है तो ज्यादा पढ़ा दिया मैंने, इज इट? आई हैव डन एक्स्ट्रा, आई हैव टीचर्स एक्स्ट्रा, इज इट? अच्छी बात है ना. So now read this project. Very important. It is very important. It says that if recipient failed to pay to the supplier within 180 days, how many days? Within 180 days. If B failed to pay to the supplier within 180 days, 180 days ka counting would be from the date of invoice. An amount equal to the ITC availed by Mr. B plus interest has to be reversed. A ने B को माल सप्लाई किया 1 जनवरी को, B ने ITC लिया. अब अगर 180 दिन तक B ने अगर पेमेंट नहीं किया, then B will reverse the ITC. B will reverse the ITC along with interest. B will reverse the ITC along with interest, and whenever in future B will make the payment to A, he can reclaim that ITC, interest would be the loss. B can reclaim that ITC, but interest would be the loss. ठीक है, हम एक मिनट रुकिएगा. ऐसा कैसे? 1 सेकेंड. ये बात क्लियर है? इज इट क्लियर टू ऑल? लेट मी रिपीट वंस अगेन. मैं क्वेश्चन पूछता हूं, आप आंसर दीजिए. Within how many days payment is required? 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 By the customer to the supplier. Within how many days payment is required by the customer to the supplier? Within how many days the payment is required to the supplier? मुझे आधे 8:30 तक तो मैं हूँ. ठीक है, 8:30 तक नहीं होगे वापस? ठीक है, बटन दबाना पड़ेगा. Within how many days the payment is required by the recipient to the supplier? कितना दिन में पेमेंट करना पड़ेगा उसको? Answer is 180 days from the date of invoice. And if not made the payment, then reversal would be required plus along with interest. ये जो reverse किया, it can be reclaimed at any point of time in future, no problem. Only problem that interest would be the loss. Okay. Now next point. Let me move to the next point. This proviso says that recipient shall be entitled to avail the credit on payment made by him of the amount toward the value along with the taxes payable thereon. Okay. Now, before moving this, let's read the rule 37. एक बार rule 37 को हम read करते हैं. What is the rule 37? Let's read together. What is the rule 37? Let's read together. So, they are saying that you have to make the payment within 180 days from the date of invoice. If I am saying that on which reversal would not be applicable other than the supply on which tax is payable under reverse charge. If the recipient is paying the tax under reverse charge, then only the reversal will come into the picture, otherwise not. Okay. Now, let me ask you one important question. It will give the confirmation about your clarity with GSTR1, GSTR3B, and the rules which we have discussed. Mr. B has imported the goods. Mr. B has imported the goods. Now, he has paid the custom duty, IGST, and social welfare cess at the time of custom clearance. Perfect. Now, assume that it is not appearing in the GSTR2B. Can he take the ITC? The corresponding provision is in front of you. वो ट्रांजेक्शन जीएसटीआर 2B में लेट से अपीयर नहीं हो रहा बिकॉज ऑफ एनी टेक्निकल ग्लिच. आइडियली इट इज अपीयरिंग. आता है हमेशा कस्टम ड्यूटी, सोशल वेलफेयर सेस और जो आईजीएसटी इंपोर्ट ऑफ गुड्स पे पे करते हैं, तो वो आईजीएसटी 2B में रिफ्लेक्ट होता है. लेट्स से इट इज नॉट अपीयरिंग, देन माय क्वेश्चन, read the provision and then give me the answer. Can you take the ITC or not? Darshan, only loss to the recipient. He has to reverse, but there is no benefit to the supplier that he can be able to take the taxes back from the government, or he has to reduce the output tax liability. No benefit given to the supplier. Only loss is to the recipient. Answer, you are saying no. Let me ask certain question. In case of the goods imported, whether supplier is filing the GSTR1, just asking only one question, whether supplier is filing the GSTR1. Whether supplier is filing the GSTR1 in case of import of the goods. Sir, in case of the import of the goods, my supplier would be located out of India. मेरा सप्लायर कहां पे होगा? आउट ऑफ इंडिया में होगा. तो वो तो जीएसटी में रजिस्टर्ड नहीं होगा ना. जब अगर वो जीएसटी में रजिस्टर्ड नहीं है, तो विल ही फाइल द R1? नहीं सर, क्या बात कर रहे हो सर? सप्लायर कैसे फाइल करेगा R1? हाँ, मैं यही बात पूछ रहा हूं आपसे. नाउ रीड द लैंग्वेज वंस अगेन. द डिटेल्स ऑफ इनवॉइस or debit note has been furnished by the supplier in the GSTR1, and then it has been communicated to the recipient in the GSTR3B, GSTR2B. Whether 16 subsection 2AA is restricting those ITC where supplier is not required to file the R1. What is being written in the 36(4)? The details of such invoice or debit note have been furnished by the supplier in the R1. Whether foreigner will file R1? Answer is no. So it is out from the 36(4). It is not bound by the 36(4). It cannot be bound by the 36(4). Therefore, ITC is not, ITC on import of the goods is not limited by 16 to AA. Read with rule 36(4). Is it clear? Now let's read the one more concept. Where the registered person has claimed the depreciation on the tax component of the cost of capital goods and plant and machinery, the ITC on the said tax component shall not be allowed. एक बार रीड करें वापस. ठीक है, अब मेरा क्वेश्चन सुनिए ध्यान से. मिस्टर बी has purchased the plant and machinery worth of rupees 10 lakh on which GST is paid rupees 1,80,000. Now Mr. B has capitalized rupees 10 lakh and taking the depreciation on 10 lakh. Can Mr. B eligible to claim the ITC, rest all other conditions are satisfied. Give me the answer. आंसर करें मेरे क्वेश्चन का. C. Mr. B has purchased the plant and machinery for manufacturing of its goods. It is a capital goods. He has purchased the goods in rupees 10. He has purchased the plant and machinery of rupees 10 lakh, on which tax is being paid 180. He is claiming the depreciation of on rupees 10 lakh. My question is, can he claim the ITC? My question is, can he claim the ITC? One answer was that because it's not for sale. First, let me give the reply to this question, Muhammad Bilal. In case of, see, read the 16 subsection 1. It says that it should be in the course or furtherance of the business. For ITC, the basic requirement is it should be in the course or furtherance of business. So if I have purchased something from which I will manufacture my goods or services, won't be able to take ITC? Won't be able to take ITC? Answer would be yes. Prima facie, I would be able to take ITC. I will go to the 16 subsection 3. अभी मैं वेट कर रहा हूं, बट मैं पहले बात कर रहा हूं, क्या मैं बिजनेस यूज के लिए नहीं है? सर, आपको ये देखना है इन द कोर्स और फर्दरेंस ऑफ बिजनेस. इन द कोर्स और फर्दरेंस ऑफ बिजनेस बहुत वाइडर मीनिंग है, तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, आईटीसी आपको मिल जाएगा उस पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से. अब मैं आता हूं सेकंड पॉइंट. एक आंसर आया, आईटीसी कैन नॉट बी क्लेम्ड ऑन कैपिटल गुड्स. क्या कैपिटल गुड्स पर आईटीसी ब्लॉक है? Whether ITC is blocked on the capital goods as per this language? No. They have not blocked ITC on the capital goods at all. They are only saying one simple thing, that double benefit मैं नहीं दूंगा. डबल बेनिफिट नहीं दूंगा. कब डबल बेनिफिट नहीं दूंगा? अगर आपने 10 लाख प्लस 1,80,000 दोनों के ऊपर डेप्रिसिएशन चार्ज किया है, तो इफ यू हैव क्लेम्ड द डेप्रिसिएशन ऑन टैक्सेबल प्लस टैक्स बोथ पार्ट, देन I will not give the ITC. What is the logic? Because you have claimed the depreciation on 180. If you will claim the ITC, so you are getting the double benefit. One is the benefit in the GST, one benefit in the income tax as a depreciation. Read the language once again. 16 subsection 3 says that if registered person has claimed the depreciation on the tax component, they were talking about 180 only. Where they are saying that if the depreciation at all claimed, then no ITC on the capital goods. No, they are saying if the depreciation has been claimed on the tax component, then the ITC on the said tax component not allowed. Read my question once again. Whether depreciation has been claimed on 180 taxes? No, sir. Depreciation has been claimed on 10 lakh rupees. So according to 16 subsection 3, because they have not claimed on 180, what is not claimed? Depreciation. Why on 180? Because we are talking about the taxes part only. Because in this case, they have not claimed the depreciation on the GST, hence allowed to take the ITC. Is it clear to all? I hope it is clear to all. Please confirm once again. एक बार confirm करना so that I can move to the next and the last part, and then after that I will ask the certain question. Got it. ठीक है. Yes. Okay. भूमिका क्लियर है ना? आपको क्वेश्चन मैंने अभी देखा, बट आई थिंक मैंने पहले एक्सप्लेन कर दिया आपको ऑलरेडी. इज इट क्लियर? आप लोगों से रिक्वेस्ट है कि काइंडली कनेक्ट विद मी ऑन सोशल मीडिया. लिंक्डइन प्रोफाइल पर जरूर कनेक्ट कीजिए. देखो, मैं हमेशा रिक्वेस्ट करता हूं ताकि मेरे पास में आप सभी की जब भी फ्यूचर में आप ग्रोथ करो ना, तो मुझे मालूम चलता रहे. मैं टीचर हूं, मालूम चलना भी चाहिए, अगर इतना अधिकार है मेरा. सो काइंडली कनेक्ट विद मी ऑन ओनली लिंक्डइन, सी अरुण चार्यड, and please always inform whenever you clear the exams. Kindly tag me in the social media platform, that is only LinkedIn. Chalo. What is the last date to take the ITC? See, ITC is not open-ended. See, whenever you want, you can take the ITC. No, so there is a time limit by which you should take the ITC. What is the time limit? They are saying after the end of the financial year till 30th November, after the end of the financial year, following that till November, or return, which annual return, furnishing of annual return, whichever is earlier. So very simple. Earlier it was a concept of September month ka jo bhi due date of the September month return. So they have replaced this and they are fixing 30th November. Whichever is earlier. Now give me the answer to the question number 1. Yes, Bhumika, your sentence is now correct. If recipient is availing the ITC on the depreciation. आपका क्वेश्चन फ्रेमिंग गलत है. ITC on depreciation कैसे होगा? Depreciation on the tax component बोलिए. Then he cannot claim the ITC. क्वेश्चन थोड़ा सा गलत है. एक बार मैं बोलूं वापस. आपने लिखा if the recipient is availing the ITC on the depreciation, then he can't claim the ITC on the cost of plant and machinery. Is it correct? No. सेंटेंस में थोड़ा सा 2 वर्ड है ना, आपने ऊपर नीचे कर दिया. आपको क्या लिखना है? If the recipient is claiming the depreciation on tax part, on GST paid part of plant and machinery, then he cannot claim the input tax credit of the GST of plant and machinery. Then ITC becomes 0 after that, sir. Option A. Okay. ITC would not be available if the person is registered as composition or regular. आज ही पढ़ा हमने. Just now we have discussed. We had the discussion just now. आंसर करो सब लोग. Which option is correct? A or B? ITC would not be available if the person is registered as. The right answer is composition. Jeevan Kishore, section 29 subsection 5 says that it will be lapse. Answer to your specific question, but yes, this question would be handled in the registration chapter, but because you asked, so I'm giving the reply. Refer 29 subsection 5. This ITC would be lapse. ITC would not be available if the person registered as composition. Next question. If the invoice has been raised by the supplier in the month of the March and goods has been received in the month of April, supplier has shown this transaction in the GSTR1 in the month of the March and by which recipient that is it is appearing in the GSTR to be in the month of the March, in which month recipient can take the input tax credit, whether March or April. Please give the answer along with reason. You have to give me the answer along with reason. Farah Sayyed, ITC still, November. By 30, what, because it will be claimed through GST R3B. So any return which is to be furnished by this date, 30th November, or actual date of the filing of annual return, whichever is earlier. कोमल रेगुलर के केस में आईटीसी मिल जाता है, दर्शन रेगुलर के केस में आईटीसी मिल जाता है, कंपोजिशन के केस में आईटीसी नहीं मिलता. सो द राइट आंसर इज ए फॉर क्वेश्चन नंबर 1. Right answer is A for the question number 1. Supplier has shown this transaction in GSTR1 in the month of the March, appearing in 2B in the month of the March, when recipient can take the ITC, April or March along with reason. अब तो reason दो मेरे को, अब तो बढ़िया reason दो सर, strong reason दीजिए. We had the discussion. Kindly give me the strong reason. क्या बात है. The right answer is April, and you are giving wow. As per 16 subsection 2 clause B, because it is being received in the month of April, so April would be the month in which can take that. See, one more thing I like to highlight based on the reply given by the one of the participant. Same month में 2B में आए, ये जरूरी है, ठीक है. बट अगर कोई 16(2) की कंडीशन सेटिस्फाइड नहीं तो उस मंथ आप आईटीसी नहीं लोगे, इसको नेक्स्ट मंथ आप लोगे. नेक्स्ट मंथ में वो 2B में नहीं आएगा. मैं मानता हूं आपका वो ट्रांजेक्शन या तो करंट मंथ या प्रीवियस पीरियड में वो 2B में आ जाना चाहिए. ऑन सेम मंथ इट विल ऑलवेज नॉट नेसेसरी. ये पॉइंट डेवलप कीजिए, ये पॉइंट की अंडरस्टैंडिंग डेवलप कीजिए. बढ़िया आंसर दिया मेरे को. क्या जिस मंथ आईटीसी ले रहा हूं उसी मंथ के 2B में आना चाहिए? क्वेश्चन is it required that the ITC should appear in the same month in the GSTR2B? Answer is no, because let's this example, he would be able to take ITC, or he is eligible to take the ITC in the month of April only. Then whether the transaction will appear in the April 2B also? No, it will appear in the March 2B. Then whether he is correct? Answer is yes, it is correct, because it is already appeared in the GSTR 2B, meaning thereby it is one of the conditions that it should appear in 2B. Rest of the conditions satisfied, then you will claim in the same month. If any condition is satisfied in the subsequent month, then you will able to take ITC in subsequent month. Might be some of the condition has already been satisfied in the previous month. Is it clear? Again, Bhumika, logic is not correct, because invoice can only be issued after delivery. No, not necessary. I had already explained in the time of supply. Section 31 is having the word that on or before. It means if I like to issue the invoice before, I can. Point number 1. Point number 2, the goods has been removed from the supplier place in the March itself. And what was the last date to issue the tax invoice? We had the discussion on the time of supply. The last date is the date of the removal. So it means if it is being removed, he has to issue in the March itself. He cannot wait till April. Now your second part is correct because recipient is getting not invoice. Again, the word is incorrect. Recipient is getting goods in April. Therefore, recipient can take the ITC in April 2003. ठीक है ना बेटा, ऐसा करेक्ट करता हूं तो कोई दिक्कत तो नहीं है ना? मैं करेक्ट कर रहा हूं. इज इट ओके? इन द मंथ ऑफ द मार्च नहीं. फरा सैयद प्लीज कंफर्म करो. अभी आपके स्टेटमेंट को देख के मैंने पूरा एक्सप्लेन किया. इज इट क्लियर नाउ? द आईटीसी वुड बी अवेलेबल इन द अप्रैल, नॉट इन द मार्च. ITC will not be available in March. It will be available in the April only. I have explained the logic in detail. Please confirm. Is it clear? Let's move to the question number 3. Read the question, give me the answer. Read the question, give me the answer. All are saying different answer. Oh my God. You give the answer. Let me. This is the legal provision, 16 subsection 4. Read the language, then give me the answer. Read the language carefully, then give me the correct answer. I have already explained. Repeating or showing the provision once again, then I would expect you all will give the correct answer. I would expect that you all will give the correct answer. What is the right answer? Now, please tell me what is the right answer. Thirtieth November or due date of the annual return, or 30th November or date of the filing of annual return. Right answer is D. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Because they have removed the concept of due date. No. Now actual filing date for annual return and the 30th November is being fixed. Okay. Next question. Please tell me. If the supplier has opted the QRMP, then will the transaction appear in the GSTR to be for 1 month, month 1 and month 2 of the quarter, as the GSTR1 to be filed only after the end of the quarter? I have already explained. If the supplier has opted QRMP, then will the transaction appear GSTR for and M2, because the supplier will file the R1 only after the end of the quarter? Expecting from each one of you that you will tell me the technical name by which it is possible. IFF, invoice furnishing facility. Yes, it is possible. If the supplier file through IFF, supply report through IFF, yes, possible. It can be reported B2B transaction even for QRMP taxpayer. Next question. What is the 5 particulars which has to be there on the tax invoice? वो कौन से 5 कंटेंट है जो टैक्स इनवॉइस पर होने चाहिए? आंसर कम लोगों से आ रहा है, ऐसा क्यों? I'm getting the reply from very few participants. There is no option. You have to dictate. This is not MCQ. This is like you have to give the answer. You have to write that answer. The 5 particular which has to be there on the tax invoice, without which we cannot take the ITC. Yes, Mohammed Anjala Khatri has given the invoice supply name, GST. Okay, so some part are correct. Darshan amount. Some part are correct, not all. No problem. No problem. You all can at least recall that 5 things. What are the 5 things? Amount of the taxes, description, value, GST, and POS. Next question. In which case ITC is subject to payment of taxes by the recipient? In which case ITC is subject to the payment of tax by the recipient? Very nice. Thank you. Yeah. All are giving the answer. So that should be the split now. If I'm asking the question, I would expect all participants should give the reply. You should not sit idle. You don't know that might be my question. By giving the reply, that will help you in the exams. We can't say anything. So please be active. Please be active in the entire discussion. कब एक छोटी सी बात भी एग्जाम में कितनी बड़ी काम आएगी कोई नहीं जानता. So be active in every class, not only mine, every class. Yes. In which case ITC is subject to the payment of taxes by the recipient? All have given the correct answer. Reverse charge mechanism. Let's see. This question we have already done. Question number 7. Question number 8. What is the right answer for question number 8? Yes, answer is reverse charge mechanism. Last question for the day. Last question for the day. Please tell in which situation the time limit of 16 subsection 4, that is till 30th November or annual return, will not apply. Only right answer has been given by Rajiv Kumar Singh. Miss Rajiv Kumar Singh, only right answer. Really appreciated. All answer are incorrect. Now it's your prestige point. Read the question once again and then give the answer. Read the question once again and then give the answer. Question 8 is not clear, Darshan. देखते हैं, डिस्कस करते हैं वापस. क्वेश्चन 8 एक बार वापस डिस्कशन करते हैं. Now second right answer is Miss S has given the right answer. किसी का भी आंसर राइट नहीं है, सिर्फ दो का, राजीव कुमार सिंह, मिस राजीव कुमार सिंह एंड मिस एस. Only 2 participants has given the right answer. What about others? आंसर कहाँ है आपका राइट? So fine. The right answer is 16 for the ITC as per concept of 180 days, and you are reclaiming, then time limit of 16.4 will not apply. It is open-ended. Whenever you want, you can claim that ITC. This is all about. And Darshan, you were saying that question number 8 is not clear. Question number 8, I'm talking about where the reversal of 180 days will not apply. In which case the reversal of 180 days, will not apply. So I was basically like to highlight this particular part. This other than. This was the answer. That 180 days ka reversal will not apply on the reverse charge, RCM. Clear? Is it clear? From my side, the class is over. 1 minute for all of you. If you have any doubt, you can ask. कोई भी doubt है तो you can ask. Invoice number 41 would be 20th. अब तो ड्यू डेट चला गया ना. विशाल, time limit of availing the ITC in respect of the taxes paid on supplies for invoice number 49 का मतलब क्या हुआ, मेरे को समझ में नहीं आया. Invoice number 49 would be 20 October 21. देखो, this particular 16 subsection 4 has been amended. Okay. So it was earlier 20th of October. Okay. But from last year, 21, 22 and 22, 23, the date has been made as 30th November. I'm not going back. What was the provision prior to that? सो करंट डेट इज 30th नवंबर। ठीक है विशाल, कोई काउंटर क्वेश्चन तो बता। थैंक यू वेरी मच, गुड नाइट टू ऑल ऑफ यू। मनीष जी, आप मनीष जी है ना, मैं नाम भूल गया।